Springtime in Bristol. It comes in like a lamb and comes out like...
Bristol's been my favorite racetrack my entire career. I love that place.
The last great Coliseum awakens this weekend as gladiators battle to grab victory at the world's fastest half mile.
It's pull the belts tight and attack. Bristol is an offense race. You got to play offense.
Tires and tempers look to trip up these warriors in their battle.
Definitely seemed like there was a lot of tempers being exchanged with bumpers on the racetrack.
But in the end, there is nothing like raising the sword above the other competitors, because it isn't just a race.
Bristol International Speedway invites you to the first annual Volunteer 500.
Here comes Earnhardt. He hits Labonte. Labonte spins in turn two.
The sold-out crowd on its feet here at Bristol as they cheer Mark Martin across the finish line. Elliott Sadler set to pull off the Bristol upset and take the Wood Brothers back to victory lane at Bristol Motor Speedway.
I'm ready to rip somebody's freaking head off.
It's Bristol, baby. Sponsored by Chance Scott Kia and Kia of Johnson City.
Bristol Motor Speedway, a half-mile high-banked concrete coliseum where the top drivers in the sport will look to survive 500 laps. When NASCAR was here last spring, tire wear was the headline. This is what was left after all the Goodyear rubber wore off on the track. But when NASCAR returned in the fall, it was like it never even happened. So, what do they expect this time around?
I don't know. I don't know what to expect right now.
Let's take you back to the race last spring, when early on the tires started to wear at an incredible rate. You could see it on the track and on pit road.
The race that happened there in the spring last year kind of took everyone by surprise as far as what the tires did. I don't think anyone really expected that, and it was like how do you adjust quicker than everybody else?
I think that spring race was just an oddity. It is kind of, we don't understand what happened or why. There's no rhyme or reason of what took place there.
Adding to the mystery, when the series returned in the fall, the wear was somewhat back to normal.
Nothing changed between the first and the second race, so I don't know.
I'm definitely anxious to see if it's the same as the last spring race, just with all the craziness that happened. When we went back there in the fall, none of that happened, so I don't know if it's just a spring thing or what.
So what would drivers like to see when it comes to the tires?
I would love to have another spring Bristol race. That was a lot of fun, even for somebody that wrecked on lap 90 and was, 3 or 4 laps down majority of the race. I still had a blast.
I do like the tire wear race. I thought that was fun. So it wouldn't hurt my feelings if that was to happen, but I think teams would be probably better prepared for it.
The softer tires in the spring here at Bristol did lead to more passing, but in general, it is very difficult to pass here at the last great Coliseum, which leads to another hot topic, driver tempers. So what can we expect here at Bristol, especially in the wake of some hot tempers at Martinsville a few weeks ago?
Will there be contact? There is. There goes Gray. Here comes Allgaier. Austin Hill out of nowhere. It's going to win in Martinsville. Do you believe that?
It's just not a good look. And certainly you shouldn't be able to just wipe someone out egregiously.
It's the moment that's become one of the most talked about topics on social media. You can call it the chrome horn, the bump and run, however you describe it. Finding that line between what's just a racing deal and what's a problem is a hot topic in NASCAR right now.
It's continued to ramp up, right? It's, we've seen this stuff and it used to only happen on green, white checkers. And then this place, it seemed like inside 20 to go, people would lose their minds. And then those guys did it with 50 to go, just absolutely just creaming each other.
How to deal with it is a completely different question.
I think if you give all drivers involved a redo, they do things different. And that goes for that last wreck is the most glaring one, but that whole race was, there were a lot of broken fenders and noses and tails on the race cars.
Sit them out. you can't race, next 2 races, don't come because we're not letting you in. And you can go tell your owner and your sponsor why.
But considering what led up to the most recent heated moment was the one-lane, tough-to-pass racing at Martinsville. Will we see a repeat performance at the one-lane, tough-to-pass at track that is Bristol?
I think you're going to get people moving each other out of the way. Bristol's a tough place to pass, but, moving people out of the way at Bristol's way more difficult than it is at Martinsville. Our corner speed's so much higher. The lines that you run, the banking, it's a little bit more difficult.
Kyle Larson is one of the top drivers in the NASCAR Cup Series, but he will actually drive pretty much any car, anywhere.
I just love racing. Really, I mean, that's the main reason.
Still to come on It's Bristol, baby. We will talk with the 2021 champ about his attempt at winning all 3 races at Bristol this weekend. Plus, he first took to the high banks at Bristol before he was legally old enough to even drive down Volunteer Parkway. We catch up with driver Jesse Love on the eve of his Cup Series debut.
When you pack in a bunch of fans there and you have, 36, 38 race cars packed in a high banked half mile, that's, the world's fastest half mile. Man, it's just, it's a sight to see.
It's Bristol, baby! Ask any driver in the garage area and they will tell you Bristol Motor Speedway is one of the most demanding tracks on the schedule. 500 laps around this place is a grind, both physically and mentally. Now imagine trying to complete more than 1,000 laps in a weekend. That is what Kyle Larson is doing as he tries to become just the second driver to sweep all 3 races.
I just love racing.
It's no secret that Kyle Larson will race just about any vehicle you put in front of him, which is why this weekend he will drive in Friday night's truck race, Saturday's Xfinity Series race, and Sunday's Cup race.
He's very talented. He goes fast in everything that he gets behind the wheel of. But I think in this kind of scenario, it's being able to be adaptable to a new type of car, get a feel for it very quickly, understand what it takes to drive in traffic around a different track, different speeds with different people.
I love racing different vehicles too. So, getting to jump in an Indy car and learn a different style of driving or racing with other drivers, like all that stuff I think is challenging.
Racing multiple types of cars in a weekend is nothing new for Larson, who frequently runs dirt races throughout the week.
He does it, I think, often enough where it's not that difficult for him. For most of us that think of it of, man, that must be really challenging. For him, it's like, no, it's not that big of a deal because I kind of do it a lot.
But running a triple NASCAR weekend and winning all 3 presents a whole different set of challenges.
There's so many variables that you have to go through to be able to get that done.
Kyle Busch is the only driver to ever sweep a NASCAR triple header. He's done it twice here at Bristol. So he understands just how difficult competing in the triple can be.
There's so many different things that can go into play that can knock you out from being able to have that opportunity that I've been there.
Especially at Bristol, a place where so many drivers have a chance to find victory lane.
Larson's the closest guy to it right now. He's in really good stuff. He's obviously a very, very good race car driver as well too, so he should have got it at Homestead.
Honestly, I think it'd be harder for him at Bristol than it was at Miami to pull it off, because I think he's really special in Miami. But who knows, right? I mean, he's good at Bristol too, but I do think that there's a lot more hitters in Bristol for sure that can compete with him.
That's not the reason why I'm doing it. I'm just doing it because I love to race. Really, is the main reason.
Jesse Love first took on the high banks of the Bristol Motor Speedway when he was just 15 years old. Now at age 20, he's set to make his Cup Series debut here at the world's fastest half mile. A former ARCA Series champion and last year's Xfinity Series Rookie of the Year, he has hundreds of laps around Bristol, making it the perfect place to make his first attempt at driving in the sport's top series. Though the cars he's driven in the past are very different from a Cup car, Love believes the experience of just being here will serve him well on Sunday.
Obviously, the cars, the Cup car nowadays is definitely different from anything else I've really driven. But at the same time, I kind of look at it that it's got 4 tires and all the same inputs that I have in anything else, and it's my job to go feel the tire and put it on the limit of that and then some.
6 months ago, this region was devastated when Helene hit the area.
I knew
there was something we needed to do.
When we come back, we'll look back at how the NASCAR community helped in the recovery process. Plus, Tennessee native Trevor Bayne is no longer a full-time driver, but he's never far from the track. We'll find out what he's up to these days when It's Bristol Baby returns.
Bristol and Dover are the two tracks that you have to walk into the facility and remind yourself to breathe when you get in the car. It's one of those tracks that it's really easy to be tensed up. It's really easy to be, hyper-focused and overwhelmed.
It's Bristol, baby! They are images that are hard to comprehend as even being real. Floodwaters from Helene moving the Nolichucky River out of its bank, damaging thousands of homes and even taking some lives. In the hours, days, and months after the storm hit, the Bristol Motor Speedway served as a hub for some of the relief efforts.
September 21st, 2024, a day that marked the fan favorite Bass Pro Shops night race at Bristol Motor Speedway. But in less than 2 weeks' time, these grounds here turned from the last great Coliseum to the great recovery and relief efforts of the people of Northeast Tennessee. A moment in time that will never be forgotten as the green flags are set to drop back here this weekend.
In one moment, exhilarating high speeds and adrenaline. The exuberant life at the world's fastest half mile. But in the next moment, devastation from Helene.
Well, we were coming off a huge race weekend in September. Still really recovering from that, kind of exhausted, and little did we know our region was going to be devastated, that we were going to be hit in such a way. The question really became, how can we be most effective? That led to the creation of the Northeast Tennessee Disaster Relief Center.
The center of assistance was Unicoi County's Amanda Delp, leading a courageous group of individuals towing the line, acting as the guiding light through destruction.
Everyone saw the news of our hospital being underwater. We saw our industry and our industrial park being wiped out. And I knew there was something we needed to do. We needed to act fast and we needed to work.
Right alongside Bristol's efforts, the sport of NASCAR hand in hand. Even help from the Atlanta Braves organization, who will be playing in the Speedway Classic here in August.
Here at Bristol, obviously we stepped in and did the things we did. Charlotte Motor Speedway was doing the same thing, collecting items and getting those up to North Wilkesboro, which is another one of our racetracks. You had NASCAR industry as a whole, the sanctioning body, came in a bit later and did the housing. Then you had some stars or other personalities from within the sport. Greg Biffle leaned in a really big way. It's one of the many reasons that I'm proud to be part of this NASCAR family, this NASCAR community, because we all do respond.
Fast forward 6 months and this is what you see. An empty warehouse, an empty call center.
This is what it looked like when we came in.
An aura of inspiration left behind.
People are here to have a good time. They're here to celebrate, create memories with their families. But we also want to make sure we don't forget our neighbors that are in need.
Now the doors close on that chapter. Recovery and relief efforts, a distant memory, but not forgotten.
To look back on coming over here that first day, when we pulled in, it was Bristol Motor Speedway. And pulling in today, it's Bristol Motor Speedway that offered relief and assistance. My heart will forever be here at Bristol Motor Speedway for that reason.
There was a time not that long ago when Roush was mentioned in the same breath as Penske, Gibbs, and Hendrick.
We know that the time and available to be able to share those success stories with him is limited, and we want to make them count.
Still to come on It's Bristol Baby, we'll take a look at the effort led by Brad Keselowski to rebuild the race team into one of the front runners in the garage once again. Plus, we'll get you ready with all you need to know about the drivers to watch in Sunday's race here at Bristol.
It's Bristol, baby. Sponsored by Chance Scott Kia and Kia of Johnson City.
It truly is the last great Coliseum. When you walk into the Bristol Stadium or racetrack and you look up and there's hundreds of thousands of fans around you, and then you have these loud, fast race cars run around a half mile in under 15 seconds, there's no more adrenaline rush in the world that you're going to get.
It's Bristol, baby! When you think about the most successful organizations here at the Bristol Motor Speedway, you think of Joe Gibbs Racing and Team Penske in recent history. But there was a time in the early 2000s when no one was more successful at Bristol than what was known then as Roush Racing. Brad Keselowski has now joined that organization as a part owner, and he's hoping to lead Roush Fenway Keselowski Racing back to prominence in the garage area.
Heather, Brad Keselowski also has a history of doing well in Bristol. It only makes sense that the RFK rebuild is started at this track.
Chris Buescher will win his second Cup Series race, and it happens in Bristol.
Let's turn the clock back 2.5 years when Chris Buescher drove to victory lane at Bristol Night Race and put team owner Jack Roush in victory lane for the first time in 5 seasons.
Jack took a chance, and it's been fun to feel like been able to see that pay off for him over the past several years now.
That moment, returning the man they called the Cat in the Hat to victory lane, is exactly what Brad Keselowski had in mind when he joined the ownership group in 2022.
Getting Jack to victory lane, he's been a big part of this team's history. His legacy is unrivaled, and we know that the time and available to be able to share those success stories with him is limited, and we want to make them count.
Both cars at RFK made the playoffs in 2024, and the addition of a third team shows the organization's commitment to returning its place as one of the top teams.
Yeah, being a team owner and a driver, it's twice the work, but probably 3 times the excitement when things go well. You just feel so involved in the successes and the failures for the people and for the partners and even the fans, and it's been quite a ride. Of course, we've had our pains, we've had our struggles, we've had our victories. Winning here with Chris Buescher in 2022 in the night race was one incredible night.
Brad being a key part in RFK, with the push on innovation and speed, and Jack and everybody. It's just been a great team to be a part of.
Keselowski would like nothing more than to continue the rebuilding with another trip to victory lane at Bristol, a place he last visited as a driver back in 2020. At Bristol Motor Speedway, Samantha Allen, News 5, WCYB.
Tennessee native Trevor Bayne spent most of his career with Roush Racing, and it was 14 years ago that he became the youngest driver to ever win the Daytona 500. It's been a couple of years since he's been behind the wheel of the car in one of the sport's top 3 series. So what's he up to? Actually, a lot. Bayne will be serving as a pit reporter for NASCAR on Prime Video this summer, and he's been helping run and promote the Flat Rock Motor Club, a private track in Middle Tennessee. He's also a driver coach and consultant for Legacy Motor Club.
I've been around the sport since I was 5 years old, so really I'm starting to learn every component of the business, from the coaching side to the sponsorship side with Legacy Motor Club, with our partnership this year to go and do appearances and just entertain their guests when they're there. Tell them, we're almost doing it like they're watching a broadcast in the suite, and I get to explain what's happening.
Bobby Allison is a driver whose name lives among the legends here at the Bristol Motor Speedway. When It's Bristol Baby returns, we'll take a look back on the life of the leader of the Alabama game and his impact here on the high banks of Tennessee.
If you widen the camera view out there, you see some wild stuff that's going on during the race.
It's Bristol, baby! Bobby Allison was one of the true legends here at the Bristol Motor Speedway. He won here 4 times. He, along with his brother Donnie and his son Davey, are a part of the Legends Plaza here outside the last great Coliseum. Bobby passed away in November at the age of 86. His first win at Bristol came in the spring race 56 years ago, a race he won by 4 laps over second place Leroy Yarborough. Born in Hueytown, Alabama, he was known as the leader of the Alabama gang. His brother Donnie tells me he wants Bobby and his family to be remembered as the working class racers that they were.
The way to classify us is just hard racers. Bobby and myself both, we started early and we ran a lot of races. He ran the Grand National Circuit when he ran 64 races.
All of the Alabama gang, Bobby, Donnie, Davey, have just a great relationship with Bristol, but also, great in competition.
So who will write the next chapter in the history books here at the Bristol Motor Speedway? There are a few drivers who've had success that you're going to want to keep your eye on this weekend. According to Bally Bets, Kyle Larson is the favorite to find his way to victory lane on Sunday, followed by last year's winner Denny Hamlin, Christopher Bell, Chase Elliott, and Ryan Blaney. You can watch the Cup Series race this weekend on Fox Sports 1. The green flag is scheduled for 3 p.m. And then make sure you have the remote handy to switch over to News 5 WCYB at 6 for complete post-race coverage. Also, be sure to follow me on my social media channels at SportsHeather on X and Heather_WCYB on Instagram for all your race coverage throughout the weekend. Thanks for joining us. It's Bristol, baby!